Alrighty, we are live. Hopefully everything is working out. Welcome to the first AP Psychology review. Today we're going to be focusing on Unit 1. Woo! I can't believe the AP test is almost here. I mean, it seems like just yesterday we were starting the school year off. So hopefully you are all doing well. It is a great day to review some psych. Before we get started, we are going to be doing a Kahoot. We're going to be reviewing everything with kind of Unit 1, highlighting the main points. I do want to highlight quick this. I'm going to quick put this up. There's our Kahoot code. Let me quick I want to switch stuff over quick. I want to show you, well, one thing that we got to be making sure that we are studying and focusing on here is quick share this. And perfect. All right. There we go. So this is the CED. You've heard me talk about it all the time in the videos, but this is the document that we need to be reviewing, that we need to be making sure that we know what's going on. The Kahoot code's on the bottom if you want to join as I quick talk about this. So if you haven't looked at this document yet, we are in Unit 1 today that we're going to be reviewing. We're talking about scientific foundations of psychology. This is about 10 to 14% of the exam, but a lot of the concepts in here actually connect to other units, particularly some of the significant figures, historical figures. They come up a lot in other units. So just because this isn't maybe the highest percentage doesn't mean that this content is not important. And remember, this CD, if you get overwhelmed by all the stuff in here, here's all the units as I kind of quick scroll through. If you go to the Ultimate Review Packet, I have that free 30-day review plan that you can use. And obviously, we are under the 30-day mark. But if you go in that CD, you can go to, as my internet loads, this document. And it's a great way to just look through the CED. So this is the CED for Unit 1. So these are the different people. If it is listed in this document, you want to make sure that you are reviewing this stuff because it's definitely fair game on that AP exam. So I made this for each unit. It's just a way to break down the CED. So it's in the Ultimate Review Packet. All this is in the free preview. So if you want, check it out. It's a great resource to use. Cool. All right. We got a bunch of people joining Kahoot. Let's get ready to roll. Let me know in the chat where you guys are from. So let's see. Also, if it's too loud or if anything isn't working, let me know, and I'll try to get to it as quick as I can. We got a lot of things going on. So awesome. We got a bunch of people joining us. We're going to get started in just a second. So let me know in the chat where people are from. What do we got? Kobe from Texas. Hello from Texas. Some people are asking about AP Human Geo. That is not until another hour. We got Los Angeles, Seattle, Washington, Georgia, Missouri. This is awesome. This is always the coolest part. Jackson, Florida, Jacksonville, Rhode Island, Florida, Miami. Hey, Lena, Minnesota. Represent Minnesota. Woohoo! Shout out there. What a good state. Silicon Valley, Canada. Nice. Got some people from other countries. Cool. All right. We got a bunch of people. We're going to get started so we can get into the learning right away and value your time. As always, it's just a game, but let's see who is the best with AP Psychology Unit 1. So here it comes. Question 1 right off the bat. All right. The APA created ethical guidelines that make sure people who participate in psychological research what? So what is our goal here? Also, too, for the chat, I'll try to keep up with it and questions and different things of that nature. I'm kind of bouncing between multiple screens here. So I also do want to make sure that I can focus on what we're doing. So if I do miss any of your questions, I apologize. Awesome. Majority of people got it. It is to protect people from unnecessary risks. So the whole goal here is to make sure that participants are being treated fairly and that we don't have any risks that don't need to be had. Obviously, there's always risks whenever we're doing anything. So there is some things that can happen, but the goal is to try and minimize that whenever possible. All right, let's check out our leaderboard. All right. Ooh, Amusing Gator, first place. All right, next question's coming up. Here we go. What do we got? We have a survey asks if people support government aid for the less fortunate instead of asking if they support welfare. So what's going on here? What do we got? 8 seconds on the clock. Again, there is a lag, so apologize for any of that. All right, and the answer is the wording effect. So majority of people got the goal of this one of trying to get it was focusing on how we word things does have an impact on the results. And that's one thing that can skew some data, and particularly anything political. Oftentimes, things are worded in a very specific way. And the goal is trying to get certain results. And so we have to take that into account when looking at data. Understanding how it's presented does kind of help us understand the validity of some of the information that's being collected there. Some people are asking the framing effect, third variable problem. Yes, actually, already kind of answered here. Confounding variables. These are going to be essentially something that we weren't intending to test for that is impacting it. So the other thing with framing does come up in Unit 9. I saw some people ask about, where is it? Trying to highlight some of the comments. Framing, that is going to be Unit 9. It is a way, like the news, for example, will frame a story in a particular way. Depending on what channel you're watching, they might have a particular narrative that maybe they're trying to push, or maybe they're more favorable to. And so they'd frame it or word things in a certain way that, again, will kind of create a certain outcome. All right, let's go back. What do we got here? Ooh, we got a change in the leaderboard. There we go. There we go. Some questions on the Hawthorne effect. So I'll get to that in just a second. All right, Dimitri wants to see if drug A reduces a person's headache. If he conducts an experiment, what would the IV be? All right. And we'll go quick back. So as people are answering this, the Hawthorne effect is when participants become aware that they're being observed. And because they're aware of it, then they're actually going to change their behaviors. So they realize that someone's observing them, monitoring something, so they act differently. So that would be that Hawthorne effect. All right. Perfect. The majority of people got this one. Remember, when we're looking at this, drug A there, the IV, that is what is being controlled, manipulated. The DV would be the effect. So that is going to be the impact, or essentially the response to what we're doing with that IV. So you want to make sure you don't mix up the IV and the DV. That's definitely important, especially when you get to like FRQs and things of that nature. If you have to identify it and be able to kind of look at these researches. So cool. Oh, wait, IV is independent variable. Yes, that would be the independent variable. Yes. All right, let's go on to our next question. Ooh, got a couple of changes in the leaderboard here. Not too shabby. All right. What psychological perspective focuses on a person's attitudes, perceptions, memories, and thoughts? The IV is the one that can be manipulated. Yes. Is the audio not working? If the audio is not working, let me know. All righty. So we're looking here at different perspectives. Okay. And it is the cognitive, which now that I'm looking at this, I realize, thank you. I realize that one's bolded, so maybe that helped you out. But remember, the biological approach is going to focus on structures of the brain, nervous system. If we're looking at the biosocial, it's going to be focusing on feelings, behaviors, different impacts on the person's health. So we're kind of looking at a combination of the biological and the social cultural approach. And then the humanistic focuses on people, how they grow and change over time. So that the focus more is looking at self-actualization. So everyone remember what self-actualization is? If you want, remember, put it down in the chat. I'll try to pin it. So self-actualization with humanistic approach. Let me know in the chat and I'll pin it up there. All right, we got our leaderboard. Let's quick look at it while we're waiting for our response. It is the Lucky Eagle. Lucky Eagle, yes, taking the lead, followed by the Epic Camel. All righty. All right, we have a scenario. Yes, so we got a variety of people reaching your potential, full, yep. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, yep. Carl Rogers, which connects into humanistic. People believe generally good. Nice. We got some awesome people in this chat. You guys are on it. All right, here's our scenario. So make sure you read this. The next question is going to connect to it. Here we go. Anna believes that eating 5 apples a day will increase a person's testing ability. She has recruited 50 students from her psychology class to participate in her research. Anna is going to give 25 students an apple substitute and 25 students apples. At the end of the school year, Anna will compare the students' test scores from the current school year to see if there was a change. All right, there we go. All right, here comes the question. What is the DV from the study? What is the DV? So think about it for a second. We just kind of talked about Actually, we just kind of reviewed DV and IV, so we kind of talked about these. Think about what from that study. Now, I realized there was a lot that was going on, but what is the DV? Make it back. Awesome. Yes, it would be the impact. Remember, when we're looking at this, the DV there is going to be that impact, the effect from our independent variable, those changes that we were making there. So that's important. We do have not too many changes in the leaderboard, but we got some more points on there. All right, our next question here is blank was the first woman, and we'll make this full screen so you guys can see it, to earn a psychology degree and became the second female president of the APA. The Kahoot is, I believe, 26 questions long. The parts of the brain and functions is unit 2. So that'll be tomorrow for psych. All right. 1 second left. Here we go. And interesting. We have a split here. A lot of people are saying Mary Whitten Calkins. Anyone know why Mary Whitten Calkins was not why is she not the right answer for this one? So think about it. First woman to earn a psychology degree and became the second female president of the APA. Yes, she refused. Well, okay. Yes, to an extent. They did offer eventually. So she did refuse there. But Harvard did deny her the degree. So one of the first women to go through, they were denying the degree to her. Anyone know if we could connect to another significant historical figure who let her, into their graduate seminar? So there's another person, he's in the CED. Anyone remember for Mary Whitten Calkins, who let her in to their seminar? She was the first president, not second. She was denied her degree. Yep. Let's see. Did anyone get, where's the first one? Harvard. William James. Yes. William James was the one who let her into her seminar. A bunch of people actually left his seminar because she was a woman and he let her in. Sorry. And so there's 2 people that we could connect to. So William James. And we do have a change in the leaderboard. We can see right here, the pigeon takes the lead. Big change there. All right. Here we go. Going up to the next one. Which field of psychology would most likely focus on understanding how to create an uplifting work environment? So we're looking here at an uplifting work environment. What do we got? So we have social, positive, psychometric, and personality. 3 seconds left on the clock. All right. And it is positive. So we have a lot of people that's saying social. Social is going to look more at individuals, society, culture, how all these impact a person. So they're interested in seeing how people think about others, the behavior, and how these things kind of impact and shape each other. If we're looking at positive, the whole point of positive is to focus on studying what makes life essentially worthwhile. They're focusing on individuals and societal's well-being. So that's why I have positive here, because it's focusing on, for work, how we can create a very uplifting environment, where social is going to be looking at these different interactions. So hopefully that helps. Psychometric, some people are asking, that's generally going to measure a person's knowledge, skills. It's going to focus on like problem solving abilities and focusing in that specific field. So not just necessarily focusing on how to make an uplifting environment there. All right. Let's see here. Going on to the next one. Do you think AP Psych study apps are helpful? Which study apps are you talking about? Let me know which ones you're talking about. All right. Going back up. Next one is blank is when the population is divided into different subcategories and a random sample is taken from each category. What do we got? We're on question 9 of 26. So we have random sample, we have sample, representative sample, and a stratified sample. There we go. All right. And the answer here, we have it split between representative and stratified. When we're looking at this, a random sample, remember, kind of switch it back here. So a random sample is when an individual in a population has an equal chance of participating. So if we're going to go kind of down all these answers here, I just want to kind of clarify them all, because these are all concepts you could see on the test. Stratified sample, on the other hand, which one we're looking at here, we have a sample of the population divided into categories, like the question is saying, and then we're going to take from each one. So you have a random chance within those categories, but we've already kind of categorized here. We're looking at the stratified. For the representative, that was the other one that a lot of people had. This would be when a sample group. So remember, when we're talking about sample group, it's a representative of the population. So representative sample would be our sample group in the study, is we're going to represent all the different people in the population. Now, if we're doing categories of people, we might not necessarily have a representative sample, since we're kind of generally providing already kind of some stratified sectioning of the population. And then we're going to be picking from those categories that we already created. So hopefully that helped. You're using the AP Human Geo Ultimate Review Packet right now, and you bought it. Cool. This is AP Psych. Glad you are here for Geo, but come back later for that one. All right, let's go on to our leaderboard. Check that out. Yes, have faith. You will get a 5. You guys got this. You got this. All right. Perfect. Here we go. Next question up. Someone asking about the AP Psych practice test 2024. I don't know that app, if that is on the iPhone stuff. I know like there's the iScore app. I've heard of that one and used that one a little bit. Those are pretty good. I'm not sure on that exact one. One great way to study, honestly, if you're looking at different things, take practice tests. I mean, especially college board ones. Great thing of using the college board test is, one, it's going to take you, we'll come back to this in just a second, but take the practice tests on college board, especially those unit progress checks, and then also the practice tests, like why am I blanking on this? The released exams that they allow people to take. The reason why you want to finish those is because it's going to tell you at the end exactly what units and topics in the units you got wrong. It'll also tell you how much time you're spending on each question. And this can be really, really helpful, because now you can see when you're studying, okay, I need to study unit 5, 4, and 3. Those are the ones I got the most on. And you're able to refine your studying to your weak spots. Now you can go focus on those concepts, take another test, and then see, did you improve? And instead of studying everything at once, now you've kind of lightened your load a little bit and you're focusing on where you truly need to. And the time thing, checking that out helps, because you can kind of see exactly how you're doing on your pacing. You want to make sure that when you get to that AP national exam, you've gotten some practice in with the time. That is a massive part of the test, is being able to manage your time. And during the actual AP test, you're going to be stressed. And so you go out and make sure you've prepped for it. You got to think of it like a game day. You go to your practice before you actually go and play in the state championship game. You wouldn't go to the state championship game without practicing. It's the same thing here. All righty. Here we go. Majority of people got this one. It is a controlled experiment. So remember, here we're trying to keep everything constant. The only thing we're going to try to change is that independent variable. And this is going to allow us to see, is there a connection between that IV and that DV? We have to be able to keep all the other factors consistent. That way we can see, is there truly causation here? And one thing to note when we're looking at causation, whenever we're talking about causation, correlation and causation. Correlation does not equal causation. So you have heard this before. A lot of times people don't always realize this. In fact, if you watch the news or you look at different studies, a lot of times they'll be like, oh, there's a correlation between here. Like right here, there is a correlation between the divorce rate in Maine and the per capita consumption of margarine. This does not mean if you are eating margarine, you're going to get a divorce, or if you get divorced, you're going to have margarine. But we can see there's a correlation. So just always remember that correlation and causation do not go together. The only way we can see cause and effect is if we have a controlled experiment and we are able to eliminate all the other variables besides our IV. Since we're just manipulating the IV, that independent variable, we can see then the impact. And it's really hard to do that because of the third variable problem, essentially confounding variables. There's other things we can't account for, and that can impact it. So controlled, that's going to be our only one that actually has the ability to see causation there. All right. Here we go. Coming up, which of the following could have been done to protect individuals in the Stanford prison experiment? What do we got? Let's see, kind of trying to go back to the chat. I apologize for missing things. I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between. Some people are asking about Psych next year. You guys, the nice thing is, don't have to worry about it. Psych next year is going to be changing. It's going to an online test. It's going down to 5 units instead of 9. So there's a lot of changes with it. There's a big update coming, but you guys don't have to worry about that right now. We got to focus, lock in on this unit here and our wonderful test coming up. All right. Yes, a double blind is going to be our right answer. Random selection, random assignment, not necessarily going to connect for helping protect individuals. Remember here, random assignment. So when we're looking at that If we're talking about like a random selection, that's going to be when participants are randomly selected to be part of a study. And assignment then is going to be when we're randomly going to assign the participants to either the control or our experimental group. Now, that isn't going to offer much protection. The double blind, though, remember, is when a participant and the researcher conducting it essentially are going to be kind of removed. They are both going to not have all of the information there. So double blind can often protect things in the individuals in these actually experiments. So they're unaware of which groups the participants in. So double blind, the researcher and the participants are unaware. Are they in the controlled group or are they in the experiment group? Essentially, are they getting the IV or not? Which can help with a variety of things. One example, I was watching Grey's Anatomy the other day, and they had a whole thing about this Alzheimer's trial where Meredith Grey, they didn't have a double blind. She was then actually manipulating it because she knew one of the participants, and then she knew the drug or the placebo that they were going to get. So she switched it to make sure that they actually got the drug. If it was a double blind, she wouldn't have access to it. So that could have protected the integrity of that experiment a little bit more. All righty. Here we go. Yes, all my review guides are up to date for the exam this year. So everything in this exam, in the ultimate review packet, if you check it out, is aligned with the CED for the test you are about to take. So I do not have any of the stuff for the new CED. It is all aligned to this year's test. So all the Kahoot questions, all of the different things in the ultimate review packet, it is all aligned to this year. All right, let's go on to our next question. Here we go, 13 of 26. If a researcher observes a person who has a unique disease, what would this be called? What would this be called? All righty. So we are observing someone, they have some unique disease. What is this called? What study here are we looking at? All right. And it is a case study. The majority of people got that. Remember, a representative sample is when a sample group in the study represents all the different people. We've talked about that one. Remember, too, a correlational study shows the relationship between two different variables, but it's not showing cause and effect. Remember, it's not showing cause and effects. It's just showing a relationship between them. The Hawthorne effect, we talked about this earlier as well. That's when essentially people realize they're being observed, so they start to change their behaviors. And a case study helps us gain insight into a particular group or an individual. So majority of people got that one. We're not going to spend much more time on it, but hopefully that helps you out. All right, moving up. Next question, 14 out of 26. When Ella completes a survey about being a good Samaritan, she gives answers that are nicer than she really is. What's happening here? What do we got? What is happening here? Is it an experimental bias, confirmation bias, participation bias, or hindsight bias? What do we got? Yes, participation bias. So when we are looking at this, okay, get this back. Remember, experimental bias is going to be unintentional bias from the researcher side. So they're not intending to do it, but it could be how they're wording things, how they're handling a participant, things that could be unconscious. They don't even realize is happening. If it's intentional, that's fraud. That's a different thing. Confirmation bias is what happens to us as individuals. Oftentimes, we tend to seek information that aligns with our point of view, and we'll dismiss other information that'll challenge those beliefs. So you see that a lot of times with people in like the news or with politics or with anything that they have a strong opinion on. Generally, they're going to gravitate towards things that help support their worldview more. And we'll go back into this again in Unit 9. Participation bias, remember, is going to be when we change our answers. Essentially, we're altering our answers here because we want to make ourselves look good. We know that we're going to be observed. We don't want to be judged. So we're going to change our answers so we have a better perception. Like, for example, you go to the doctor, they ask, how often do you exercise? And people are like, oh, yeah, I definitely do that like 5 times a week. Or I definitely go for a run at least twice a day. And the doctor kind of realizes, all right, we're going to round this down a little bit. They're probably not actually doing it. But we don't want to look bad, so we change our answers. And hindsight bias, which is the last one, which 33 people had, this is going to be the tendency to think that we could have anticipated an event or an outcome. Essentially, something's already occurred, and we're like, oh, yeah, like I would have known that. Yeah, cool. What else do we get? So people, that's helping you. You get it now. Good. Glad that's helping. Trying to quick look at the chat here. The chart, confirmation bias. Good. Cool. All right. I'm going to try to catch up on the chat because I realize I'm pretty far behind. All right. Next question coming up, 15 out of 26. We have Starbucks reports the numbers of customers they had that day. What type of data? So we're talking about data and types of data. What do we got? All righty. 7 seconds left. Coming up. Pum, pum, pum. All right, it is quantitative. Remember, the two big types, quantitative, qualitative, are the two ones that you really need to know. When looking at this, remember, quantitative is going to deal with numbers. It's going to deal with facts. Things aren't necessarily up for debate or interpretation. Qualitative, on the other hand, is going to have stuff up for debate and interpretation. That's going to be where we're dealing with opinions, things that people might think. Descriptive is going to be researchers organizing to describe data. So they're actually describing the data they collected. And inferential is going to be when we're actually making predictions about the data and that independent variable. So those would be for those, if you did put those. A couple of people did, not that many. So we're going to go on to the next one there. But hopefully this is helping out. It's always fun to do the Coots and live streams. All right, here we go. Which is not part of the central tendency. Central tendency. All right. Are these, let me know if you need more for qualitative and I can help you out. So if you need help with that, I can help you out more. Are you going to go and leave these Coots? Yes, they'll stay on YouTube. Also, too, if you want to do these Coots on your own, I'll make it so you can go into the ultimate review packet. You can use the Coots. If you want to go back, take them again, play on your own or with your friends, you can do that there. All right, cool. Majority of people got this one. It is range. So that's awesome. Range is part of the measures of variability. So that's with standard deviation. So remember, that's the one that is not part of the central tendency. All right, going on to our next question here. Oops, I skipped the scoreboard. My apologies. All right, what does it mean if everything except the IV is constant? All right, put this back up. People can see the options better. So what do we got? All right, trying to go through the chat, go back through. All right, cool. I think I had to move ahead on the chat. All right, so we have a couple different between yellow and green. So we have confounding variable and experiment. So when we are looking at this, so one thing to remember here, confounding variables are variables other than that independent variable that might be impacting the dependent variable. If we're talking about everything being constant, we have an experimental control. We have control over all the other variables except for the IV. This is allowing us to see that relationship between the IV and the DV. So if there's confounding variables, that's things we haven't been able to control. We haven't been able to factor in. So a confounding variable, again, are variables that were not anticipated. They're changing without us really realizing it. It could be impacting that DV. So that's definitely something that you kind of want to have a good understanding of. And that's also why we're practicing right now. So if you're getting some of these wrong, don't sweat it at all. The best thing to do actually right now, if you're getting things wrong, is you realize now where you kind of need to focus. You can focus on some of this vocab, focus on these terms and how these relationships and concepts work together. All right, let's go on to our next one. A survey asks high schoolers, where is the best place to buy coffee? What type of data is this? What do we got? I have a question about, do our definitions on FRQs have to be exact? How lenient are they when grading? Great question. One of the things, there's always multiple ways to word things. Now, when it's a define, if you're putting a definition down, obviously it has to accurately define the term. So if you're explaining an independent variable, but you're actually explaining it as a dependent variable, you're not going to get the points. But if in that rubric for the FRQ for the grader, if they don't have like word for word the same, if you essentially are saying the exact same thing, you're fine. Don't stress during the test about, okay, did I memorize the exact term and the exact definition? Now, you want to make sure you're being accurate in your response. So there are some questions that there is less variability to some of the answers, especially with define. You do have to explain that concept correctly within the context of the term being asked. But don't worry about having the exact word for word definition. The reader's going to see, they want you to get the point, but they're going to check, like, do you understand what the question is asking? Do you understand that term? If you're showing that you do, you should be good. All right. It is qualitative. It looks like the majority here. The big thing when we're looking at this again, remember with qualitative, we are talking now about opinions. So asking people where the best is, it's all going to be up for debate. I know in my classes, we have plenty of little debates when it comes to food and drinks of where you should be buying coffee or not, or with fast food, which places are the best. And which places are overrated. So we won't get into that now. I realize people are very particular about their Chipotles and McDonald's and Chick-fil-A's and all that. But we've had some interesting debates there. And that would all be qualitative because there is no true answer. It's an opinion. All right, next up, here we go. When participants are unaware if they are in the control group, but the researcher knows. Which type of study is it? So what do we got here? The researcher knows what type of group they're in. Going down, trying to catch up on the chat now. Thank you. You are very welcome. Very welcome. People asking if others have Quizlets. If you do, by all means, put it down in the chat. That's awesome if we can help people out. You're going to be fine. You're not going to have a heart attack. You've got this. You got to have confidence. Remember, it's a mental game and you can win it. You can do this. Thank you for the super sticker. That is very, very kind of you. Thank you. I can't see it on here, but I will go back and check it later on. I can't see what the super sticker was. All right, cool. Let's go back to here. Majority of people got it is the single blind. So when we're looking at this, remember to quasi-experiment. We haven't talked about that one yet, but this is going to be used in situations where the controlled experiment would be impossible. So there's no way of doing a random assignment to participants. So there's a variety of reasons why that could happen, but that would be the quasi-experiment. But it is a single blind. Remember too, if the researcher and the participant both are unaware, then it would be a double blind. And we had an example of that one earlier on. All right, here we go. Next question coming up. For the brain, we will talk about the brain and all that stuff in Unit 2. That'll be tomorrow. So we're going to be looking at Unit 2 tomorrow. Going down, trying to catch up on chat. Okay. Get a 5, get a 5, get a 5, get a 5. Wait, hopefully my quasi helped. I just saw that. All right. Majority of people got this one. It is confirmation bias. Really quick, we've talked about some of these already, so we're not going to spend too much time. Hindsight bias, remember, when we're talking about hindsight, it's that tendency to think that we could anticipate an outcome. So even after it already happened, we're like, oh yeah, I knew that was going to happen. That'd be hindsight bias. We now know, so we're looking back and it's like, oh, it all aligned. Clearly it was going to occur. The reality is at the time, we didn't know that. Experimental bias, remember, that's when the researcher unknowingly does something that impacts the outcome. And the Hawthorne effect, we're altering our behavior due to being observed. So this would be confirmation bias. Sweet. There we go. 10 answer streak. You're cooking. Hey, way to go. Don't forget, cook that to exam. We're coming up. You'll do it. All right, let's go. Next question. Coming up, 20 out of 26. The quick pigeon's been holding on for a while. Let's see here. Oops, I'm going to make this full screen just because this, but the question that I just pinned up was, is the Barron's book a good resource? Yeah, it can be a great resource. How you use it to study. The big thing I would do is focus on taking those practice tests in there and try to take it like an actual test. So that way you can actually see what you know and don't know. When you grade it, then the big thing is go through and actually try to identify which units you got wrong and what like topics, now you can see where you should study. So the Barron's, great resource you can use. That's also why my ultimate review packet, if you're interested in that, if not, no big deal, is set up the way it is, where it focuses on each of the units. The big thing is make sure you're studying things that are aligned to that CED. If you right now are reviewing your textbook, it's got great information, but it's got a lot of stuff too that isn't in that CED. The CED is what you got to focus on. So that is the key. Like my topic review videos on YouTube, I just use the CED and make my scripts off that. So they're aligned to it because that's what the test is going to be on. So just make sure you're focusing on those things. And again, practice, practice, practice. I can't stress that enough. By the end of all this, you're going to get tired of me saying it, but that's okay. I can be the villain there. All right. Majority of people got this. It is a frequency distribution table. Yes, it even says frequency on it. So different ways of presenting data. Good to have an understanding on. Let's see. Going down. Am I Heimler's friend? Heimler is a great guy. Talked with him many, many times. Met him in person and stuff. Great guy. Awesome channel there. So nothing but positive things to say there. All right. Whoops. Want to go here. Next one. I am surveying students at Riverdale High and will be randomly selecting 50 participants. What is Riverdale High? Woo! 2 answer streak. Cooking in the kitchen. Let's go. No. I am sorry, I can't grade your psych exam. But I wish you nothing but the best. I wish you nothing but. I have my own students' exams to score, and I definitely can't grade your individual one of the actual AP exam. But yes, it would be the popular surveying people. We're taking 50 participants from the school. The school is the population. Those 50 participants, that is going to be our sample. That is going to be there. All right. Ooh, the classy snail moving up on the leaderboard now. There we go. All right, next question. You're good. You're good. Don't panic. Even if you haven't started studying yet, you can do this. The important thing now is not what you didn't do, but now what the important thing is what you're going to do. So focus on taking practice tests, reviewing these concepts, find different resources that work for you. You got this. You can do it. All right. Helps reshape the medical field by highlighting unfair and inhumane treatments of mentally ill people. So these are different historical figures. Majority of people got it. Remember Sigmund Freud, that's going to be with this psychoanalytic theory. So eventually turned into, when we're looking at the theories here, eventually turned into the psychodynamic approach, focused on that unconscious mind. Remember Jean Piaget turned into the cognitive development, and that's looking at like the stage theory. When we're looking at cognitive development, those stages of development. John B. Watson was the father of behaviorism. So hopefully that helped a little bit for just even remembering and kind of reviewing some of those other individuals. But majority of people got this one, which is awesome. Good job. All right, question 24 of 26, slowly getting down there. Oh my gosh, I'm so far behind on the chat. I apologize. Yes, I am going to be here on YouTube for the next 9 days straight, 10 days straight. I don't know. But 6 p.m. pretty much every day during the week. During the weekend, because we're going to have to do something there, I realize people have other things going on. So the weekend ones are going to be a little bit earlier in the day for Saturday, at least. I think Sunday we'll keep the same time. If we need to change things, we can. But if you go onto the playlist for psych reviews, you'll notice they're all in order now, and all the times are on there. But I will be doing these all the way up to the exam. So if it helps, awesome. I'm glad that you're joining us. And the majority of people got this one. It is Carl Rogers. Yes. Remember, Watson is going to be for behaviorism. Skinner is going to be for behaviorism with operant conditioning. And then Sigmund Freud, we just talked about this, psychoanalytic theory, and later psychodynamic approach. So that's a big focus on the unconscious mind. Yes, you can still get a 5. You can do this. Even if you're studying by yourself, you can do this. Positive thoughts. You can do it. Big thing, study, practice test. Take a test, review it, go through, see what you got wrong, see what you got right. Find a resource that works for you. If it's my videos, great. That's awesome. If it's not, that's okay. The goal right now is for you to rock this test, but you can do it. Do not give up. Don't worry about what you haven't done. Focus right now on what you can do. All right, majority of people did get this one. When we're looking at our different studies here, looking at different demographics at the same time, it would be that cross-sectional. So this is looking at our different groups, trying to quick move back so I can shift this over. So this is comparing our different groups. For example, ages comparing at the same time. Correlational studies, remember, is going to show relationships between two variables. It will show us the strength of that relationship, but remember, it does not show cause and effect. So don't mix that up. And then longitudinal studies are going to follow a group over time. So essentially, we'll start with people as they age. We'll keep kind of checking back in. The last one, which only a couple of people got, no worries if you were part of the 5, but that would be some real world setting that we're seeing and observing there. All right, let's go back to our leaderboard. What do we got? All right, quick paging. Nice. Still maintaining. We are on 26 of 26. Going down. What textbooks? If you're right now focusing on studying everything, again, I would focus on that CD. I have a question about the CD, so I'll show it in just a second. Let's see here. Do I still have it up? Yes. A quick move over. All right. So we'll talk about this question real quick. I have a couple people who are asking because I keep referencing it, the CD. This is what the AP exam is actually based on. So this is the content that the College Board is going to be taking questions from. So if it's not stated in this document, it's not going to be on the test. Now, this is for Unit 1, Topic 1. So it's organized by topics. Here's kind of the title there. Learning objectives. Here's all the examples. So if you've noticed, a lot of these people, Dorothea Dix, we've been talking about it. Mary Wynn Calkins, we've talked about her. William James. These are some of our questions we've been asking in this Kahoot. It's aligned here. Research methods. So these are things you want to focus on when studying. Your textbook is great and all, but at the same time, we want to make sure we're focusing on what exactly is going to be on this exam. Since we're getting down there, now's the time to focus in. If you also need something that's broken down, if you do go to my ultimate review packet, you can do the free preview. I have the CD broken down by unit, and there's a spot for you to take notes and stuff. You can kind of edit that. So maybe that's a little bit easier of processing instead of going through this 200-page document. So if you want to ultimate review packet, you can check it out. It is in there. All right, let's go back to this question. And then we will answer a couple of things and go through it. So when looking at this, we have a little bit of split. A lot of people did get it right, so that is awesome. Remember, with functionalism, we are focusing on kind of mental functions, how they've evolved over time. We're looking at the whole, not necessarily individual structures. Behaviorism, on the other hand, so that was another one of our answers here, is behaviors learned through experiences and being observed. So behaviors changing over time through observing and learning through there. Structuralism, which is our answer here, is going to observe the mind's different structures and the structures of consciousness through those individual parts. So it's similar to functionalism, but definitely different. Functionalism is looking at the whole. Structuralism is going to be observing the individual parts. And the biological is just going to focus on the brain and the nervous system. So hopefully that helps out there. Do I think watching my unit review videos, really focusing and taking notes on the concept? Yeah, I do think that would help a lot. My topic review videos on YouTube and my ultimate review packet, if you haven't checked it out yet, if you're interested, and quick pull it up. If you're not interested, no big deal. But if you are, all these things are aligned to the CED. So this is that template I referenced of the CED. This is all the stuff in it. So this is for Unit 1. Here's Unit 3. All of this is just aligned to focus on exactly what's in the CED. So same thing too with the unit review videos, the practice quizzes, the answer keys, the study guides that help you like take notes. All of this stuff. Internet's being a little slow right now due to the stream. All of this though is aligned there. So if you're using this, it's a great tool. Hopefully it helps you out. All right, most important part. Let's get into our podium. Who do we got? You'll tune in every day. Good. Hopefully this is helping you guys out. It's always a lot of fun. It's cool. I wish I could get to all of the stuff in the chat. I do go back. I'll try to look at the chat after. So if you said stuff in comments, I'll definitely try to get to you so I can see it there. But congrats to the quick pigeon. way to go. Also, the Fearless Condor and the Glowing Fox. We do have our top 3 podium. Again, tomorrow at 6 p.m., we will be doing this again, but for Unit 2. So hopefully this helped you out. I am going to have to end. I'm not going to be able to do a ton of questions. That's going to be the one hard thing of teaching different AP classes, along with also teaching full-time and being at school all day, is I only have so much time. So I'm going to wrap this up because I have to get ready now for the AP Hug one. But thank you all so much for being here. Hopefully this helped you. If you do have questions, let me know. I'll try to answer some of them in the chat before I switch over, or other people can as well. And make sure to come tomorrow at 6 p.m. So you are all awesome. Woo! There we go. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Love it. Good. Glad you had fun. All right. Yeah. A lot of people, I like the positive vibes. I got to say, a lot of people saying like, yes, focus on being positive. You can do this. All right. Have a great day, everybody. I will talk to you all later. Mr. Sinn, I'll see you next time online.